Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Hello, podsters. Thank you for downloading this podcast. This week, as In the Earth is hitting UK cinemas as part of our mini, UK release season, if you will. And the person that directs that film is the very prolific English director who I'm quite a big fan of, Ben Wheatley. So we're going to have a look at Ben Wheatley films this week. And as ever, I'm joined by the Mr. Encyclopedia man, that is Boaz Dix. How are you, sir?
That was more epic than usual. So that was a hell of an introduction.
See, I'm perfecting it now.
I know. You're going to be doing movie trailers soon.
I certainly will.
Yeah.
Future career.
Yeah, future career. Yeah, I'm good, man.
Cool. What is your pick for Ben Wheatley films?
I picked Free Fire.
And why did you pick this one?
I had no idea who the hell Ben Wheatley was. You listed a bunch of films. And you said Free Fire, and I was like, I've watched that. That was on TV.
I'll go for that one.
Yeah. I watched that on TV once. That was a pretty good film. I'll watch it again. Yeah. That's simple, really.
I mean, this podcast sometimes should just be called The Education of Boaz's
yeah, it really should.
Film history.
I know. It's like I'm learning.
Film studies for Boaz.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happens in Free Fire?
Free Fire is quite a strange film.
Well, not as strange as mine.
Not as strange as yours. Yours is batshit insane. This is like, a tiny dose of strange. But basically, it's all set in like a warehouse. It's Irish, like an IRA. So the IRA are like buying some guns from this South African guy called Vern in a warehouse in America. It already gets off to a really poor start. They don't like each other, and, there's all these kind of jabs and tension. And then it really sort of just kicks off when it turns out one of the Irish gang, Steve, bottled... so one of Vern's guys, called Harry, bottled his cousin, and it just kicks off, and they all start shooting at each other. And what proceeds is it's like an hour long, an hour and 20 minutes or something like that, firefight,
Yeah,
which is it was just crazy.
Basically an action comedy.
Yeah, action comedy. Yeah,
which is pretty brutal as well.
Yeah, dark comedy. I think you should say. Yeah.
So, what did you make of this one? I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I think
quite like it.
I wouldn't say it's Ben Wheatley's best work. I think when he decided to make this, I think it was more of a reaction of this blockbuster culture at the time, or even now, still, of you having this huge action CGI blockbusters, but not feeling much for the characters in those films. So it's kind of more of a down and gritty action film where you feel the action and you get a bit more emotionally involved. So this film is kind of a reaction to that, I guess, for him.
Yeah, I quite liked it. I thought it was a fun romp. I quite liked a lot of the characters as well.
It's pretty funny as well.
It is pretty funny as well, and it is kind of strange because a lot of the characters are pretty likable. Well, I don't know. I would say some of them are they're quite funny and they're endearing. None of them are good people. They're all pretty bad people. Like, they are criminals for a reason.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few likable characters. But with this film, it kind of doesn't hold any punches. It's like, there are nice guys on the good side and funny guys. There are nice guys. There are not really a good side, on both sides.
No.
And, most of them are going to die, It's like, there's a lot of... yeah. I mean, if you think, Game of Thrones is over the top for killing, favorite characters and main characters, this kills, everybody. Just everybody.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So directing, then, I think certainly the moments at the beginning I quite liked, where Steve-O, played by Sam Riley, is going to apologise for what he did to Harry's cousin, and the scene is mainly all in kind of wide shots, and most of the characters are in it, and Steve-O is apologising and breathing heavily because obviously Harry locked eyes with him, and he saw him and he tries to get at him and they kind of separate, but then when he goes to apologise, and then cut to a close-up of Steve-O at a low angle, and then just before he says anything, he's going to say something stupid in that moment.
Well, you can see
because the close-up low angle, you're like, okay.
Well, he's breathing heavily and he starts and you see him smile, so you're like, you're going to say something stupid, aren't you?
It was just like the rhythm of how it was cut together. You're like, yeah, it's going to go down now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just like how also the firefight just basically begins after that.
Yeah.
Just goes, gets his gun, just comes through, and it's like cutting between him just walking gently to get his gun, and them trying to what the hell, Steve, and him just bang, and then just everything just cracks off.
Everyone's like really pissed off and trying to calm Steve-O down, and Harry's just like nice and calm and just gets the gun, Yeah. And I like how everything kind of goes into slow motion, and everyone's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And there's slow music, and then the action begins to come back to normal speed, and the music fades away, and the gunfire escalates from there as quite a good slow transition from this confusion to like the gun battle beginning.
Yeah,
I kind of love the gunfire sound effects, to be fair, because in most action films, when you have gunfire, it doesn't feel that powerful compared to everything else in the sound mix. But in this, because the gunfire is quite important to the narrative, the gunfire feels like really powerful. You hear everything. You hear and feel every impact and whine of the bullets going past and ricochets. Just a great sound mix in this film, I think.
Yeah. I like when everything's going balls to the wall, and then like Killian is like he's the most sensible guy there. I would say he's like the closest thing you have to a protagonist. Yeah. He's very professional and very tries to calm things down. And I like when he's like, listen, let's just put this all behind her. You call your people. We'll call our people and stuff like that. And it's like, no, we want to call our people. And then they hear the phone ring. It's like, shit, this place has a phone. And they're like, they go straight for the phone. I love that. That becomes the focus. It's like, get to the phone.
And there's a cool sequence where Steve-O basically finds it funny to just shoot a load of big air cylinders.
Yeah, that was
and cool. one fires straight across the room and like crashes into a cart where like Ord and Chris were fighting.
Yeah.
And they both dive away from it. That was quite a cool sequence. And there's even like a nice like POV shot of one of the cylinders going straight across the room. I quite like that. That was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yeah. Oh, what was another one where Frank's crawling away and
there's a lot of crawling.
There's a lot of crawling. There's so much crawling. I think
pretty much everyone gets shot in the leg at some point.
Yeah. In fact, I was kind of surprised because like almost every, most of the film's crawling. I thought it was hilarious when Martin, the big black guy, he's been shot in the head.
Yeah. Babu Sise. Yeah.
And I love how he just kind of gets up and he just doesn't give a shit.
That was so funny.
Yeah. And that was a cool shot as well of when he had the machine, the rifle. And just how it was kind of shot, like I think the camera was probably attached to the rifle. You had this very strange look where it's like the rifle is centered, but everything else is off center and moving and stuff.
So have you got a favorite shot then? Favorite sequence?
I don't know. Like I'd probably go when Frank sets Vern on fire.
Oh yeah, that's mine as well.
That was amazing. Yeah, I love that because of just like Frank has been shot. They're shooting at each other through the wall, cracking windows and all this stuff. And you don't know what the hell Frank's doing. I just love the build-up. He's like putting lots of stuff on the door. And then you see all this liquid like go under the door. And Vern sees it and goes, fuck.
And there's like an overhead shot.
Overhead shot. Cool. Frank sets it alight and just sets Vern alight. That was awesome. I love that whole sequence. I thought that was
because it was kind of like a nice fake out, really, of like who's going to die first in that sequence as well. Yeah. Because obviously, in that moment when he's set on fire, you think, "Oh, what's his name? Vernon is going to die."
Yeah.
But no, when Frank, is on the phone to this like sales robot or whatever.
Yeah.
And Vern just shoots him in the back.
Yeah.
I quite like that fake out.
That was good. That was a good fake out, and also the look on Vern. he just looks like I mean, he's charred. You know, there's just black.
Yeah.
His suit is absolutely fried. He's
Yeah, and
burnt.
his hands are just like still like frozen and burnt.
Yeah, they're like clamps. You know, yeah. And he just shoots him, and you're like, yeah. That was an incredible sequence. Just just amazing.
Yeah, and Vern's death is quite gruesome when he's shot like right through the nose from Chris.
Oh yeah,
from Cillian Murphy. That was pretty brutal.
yeah. That was pretty. Yeah, that was pretty sick.
So score for directing for me, there's a lot of like really nice push-ins and tracking shots to make the characters look all really cool. But I do find at times I was unsure about the geography of like who was where, and at times, not all the time, but at times I was just like a little confused about who was shooting at who.
Yeah.
And that was a little problem, so...
Although I think some of the characters are very confused about who's shooting who.
Yeah.
Because Harry shoots Hoyt at one point, shoots him. Like
Hoyt? Who
is
the hell is Hoyt?
No, you know, the bodyguard guy, the American. What's his name?
Horde.
But, you know, he shoots him in the leg. Like, they tend to shoot, you know, they occasionally shoot. But I do agree with you. Like, the longer it goes on, you do get very confused exactly who is situated where. I think it would be either better if they did a better job just making it a little more followable, or just making different parts of the warehouse, like, do you know what I mean?
More,
distinct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could be like, okay, they're in this corner. The only, like, distinct location is where the van is. Everywhere else is just kind of a blur. I don't know. It just kind of
looks too similar, doesn't it? Yeah. So I'd go with, like, a 7.8, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a fair one.
Yeah. How about you, sir?
I think I'll go... I think maybe I'll go 7.6. Also, when we're talking about... I just want to go back to the directing. Like, the props. They love doing crazy stuff with props, you know, blowing up heads and shit like that.
Yeah.
Especially, like... what was it? Steve.
Steve-O.
Yeah, Steve-O.
Yeah.
He
gets crushed by the van's wheel.
Yeah. I think it's poetic that they both kill each other at the same time.
That's quite a cool camera trick there, because, you know, I'm quite nerdy. I look at the bonus features and how it's done. And apparently, you know, the van did go over his head, but there's two wheels. So there's one fixed wheel on the van, and then the real wheel is like really loose on this, just kind of like on a spring kind of thing.
Okay.
So once it goes over his head, it just goes over his head, you know.
Wow.
Just rolls over his head. So
for a minute there, when you said he did actually have the van roll over his head, I thought, oh my god, this is a snuff film now. Holy shit.
So there's two wheels, one fixed. So one is like, I can't talk about it properly on this podcast because it wouldn't make sense. But yeah, check out the bonus features.
You can draw a diagram.
It's quite interesting. Well, certainly Ben Wheatley is certainly one of these directors that certainly tries to do things in camera as much as he can. And certainly this film is one of those examples.
Yeah.
So screenplay then. I quite like the beginning parts of this script because you're trying to guess what's going to trigger this shootout. Because Chris, played by Cillian Murphy, ends up being happy with the guns eventually, even though he is a little bit annoyed, but he seems okay with it. The fact that he got a 70s or whatever instead of M16s. Yeah. And then Vern, played by Shalto Copley, is happy with the money, you know. And then they even find out that Steve-O bottled, you know, Harry's cousin, and they soon calm things down. And you think Steve-O is going to start the mayhem, but no, when he insults Harry's cousin again, but then again they seem to handle the situation, and you're left wondering what's going to go wrong. And then Harry, played by Jack Rayner, is acting like way too calmly, and then, you know, starts off the whole thing. So I like that how the script kind of kept you guessing of just like when is things going to kick off.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, no, I agree, because there are so many moments. I mean, I would say straight from the off, when, you know, the Irish are introduced and they meet what did I say his name was? I said Hoyt, but you said it was something else.
Horde. Army Hammer.
Horde. I don't know why I thought it was Hoyt. Anyway, Horde.
Ord. O-R-D.
Horde, yeah? Yeah.
O-R-D.
I said Horde.
No, just Ord.
Ord. No H.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you serious? No. I thought it had a name.
Yes.
That's not a name. Anyway.
Apparently it's a weird American name.
Okay.
There we go.
So anyway, O-R-D.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it was cool. I love his character. I thought he was my favorite character.
Yeah.
But I love how he's just really sarky and just an ass to everybody. And he just starts that way with the Irish guys. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, why'd you bring the what was it? The retard and the idiot or something like that. And he's just like really just going into them. Like everybody.
I quite like that moment when it just racks up the tension a little bit when Chris is like trying out the rifles, the automatic weapons,
Oh, yeah, I like that.
and Ord is just like, just so everyone knows, I'm just going to take out my pistol.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, just in case things go bad.
Yeah.
I just want to protect myself before everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was good. And then also there's a kind of twist into it because there's a firefight that happens during the firefight. Like there's a guy in the stands or whatever, who's trying to like he
balcony.
on the balcony, who was already going to ambush them and kill them. And I also love that as well because he's firing and they're like, whoa, did you bring a sniper? He's like, it's not one of ours. Well, he's not one of ours. Yeah, I like that. That was good.
Yeah, it just adds like an added mystery to the story of just like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah.
So it's just not a film about this group of guys trying to shoot these group of guys,
Yeah.
So you just get that added element, which I quite liked.
Yeah. With any kind of story, you can't make it too simple. And I kind of, I do respect that because from the off of it, it is a giant gunfight in one location, with just two groups of characters. But you need to I do like how they keep changing the goal. So it's like, first it was like, let's get
well, they just want to get the deal done.
Yeah, we're going to get the deal done. Then it's like, okay, this unfortunate firefight's happened. Let's try and chill this out. And then I think they want to get the girl. Let the girl go. And then Vern shoots her in the, tries to shoot her. Shoots her in the leg or whatever. Because he's like, oh, you betrayed us, And then it's like the sniper. Let's get rid of the sniper. Then it's like, let's get to a phone. Then the phone is destroyed. Then it's like, get to the van. And also this thing about the money as well. Get the money, get to the van. So I do like how they move the goalpost right to the end. So it's quite exciting, So I think that makes it for a better screenplay had it just been one goal of let's just finish the other side. I do like how they kept moving it along.
Yeah, but this film is like fucking hilarious as well. At times, the very first line is, "Move your fat ass, you A-town motherfucker."
Yeah.
And then when Frank is pissed at Steve-O for turning up late to the deal, he squeezes his balls, and Steve-O says, "Fuck my beautiful balls." Freeze the tits off a brass witch. That was funny.
That was a good one. Oh, do you remember when Hoyt tried to make...
You say Hoyt again? Who the fuck is this Hoyt character?
Shut up. Where am I getting Hoyt? Who's Hoyt?
I don't know.
All right, sorry. So, do you remember when, like, Vern made, like, a armor out of cardboard? What the hell was that about?
Vern is fucking weird.
It'll stop infection.
I love Shalto Copley's accent.
Yeah.
It will stop infection.
Yeah. And
Rhodesian trick.
Yeah, I loved what he said, like Vern, is everybody as crazy as you are from where you're from? And he's like, Vern's one of a kind, Watching Vern,
Yeah. Watching Vern.
Yeah. That was amazing. He's a great character.
Yeah, there's not enough Shalto Copley in cinema. I need more Shalto Copley in my life.
Yeah.
Ord gets shot and he says... Not like, ow, that really hurt. He says, now we're cooking.
Yeah, like that, yeah. Now we're cooking. Yeah, that was good.
And then, certainly, obviously we were saying we kind of get lost on who's shooting who, but Bernie says, whatever, I forgot whose side I'm on.
That was good.
Good one from Harry near the end. There's more blood on the floor than a sausage factory. Another good one from Vern. Justine shoots Vern and says... A pushy woman isn't sexy, Justine.
Yeah, that was funny.
You got any ones that you like?
Because what was it? Even like they're taking the piss even when some people die. Like when
it's like, oh fuck, I think they shot Harry in the ass.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it would. Yeah. But I like how what was it? He said this other one where Steve's friend died, and he's mourning, and they're all like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you're whining like a bitch, Steve. You cocksucker. I'll kill you. And like they're not taking it seriously, and he's mourning. And what the hell does Ord say? He goes, "Yeah, Steve's special friend is dead." He's like, maybe he'll make something of himself down there, or something like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, Sam Riley is really funny when he's grieving for Bernie when he dies. It's like no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
And even the guys on his side,
Yeah,
they don't care.
they're still firing. They're just like,
Yeah. He's just crying his eyes out, and it's just a great comical performance. And he's like, "Oh, you were an angel" or something.
yeah. I love how he kind of still tries to, because he does some like crack and then tries to get his own back. I love how what was it when they actually catch the sniper and like Ord recognizes him. Do you remember that? Like he goes, "I know that voice," and he's like, "I will throw all of your 11 children on a bonfire if you don't tell me who you're working for," or something like that. And he's about to tell him, and Steve was like, "Don't tell him shit, man. He's not the boss of you." It's like, it's got nothing to do with Steve, but, it's just like, yeah, fuck you guys.
Got to say something. But my favourite line comes near the beginning, and it's made me laugh out loud, which is from Steve-O, of course, as they're driving to the... it might even be the second line, I'm not sure. Because he's got, like, a black eye.
Oh, yeah.
And he says... "I look like I tried to fuck a reluctant panda bear." It's so funny. Anyway,
funny.
Have you got a favourite line then?
Like Stevie's special friend is dead.
Oh, right. So screenplay score for me, same with you. I like kind of like the little change-ups, in the story where you get these mysterious riflemen in the balconies. And they're all wondering who the hell are these guys, and you later find out it was Martin's men, the ex-Black Panther. So I guess he was just trying to take the money for himself.
Yeah. The girl was in on it too, because she shoots them at the end. Like, that was a shock. I really, again, you're talking about changing things up. Yeah, the twist at the end is, I thought, Steve-O and Harry, when they kill each other, and I did like that, where, like, Killian and Ord, or whatever, O-R-D, or whatever. Hoyt, fuck off. So, where they're just like, I love how they're the most sensible people in the group of each side, do you know what I mean? And I like how it's like, yeah, their bosses are dead, everyone's dead, and I love how he's just like, yeah, do you want to go for a beer? Do you know what I mean? Do you want to go, do you want to go to the bar? It's like, yeah, right, And I love that. Who's paying? Technically you. And I just have it's like, yeah, sure.
It's good banter at the end.
Yeah, it's just good banter. And then he's going to even tell him a story. Like, do you want to hear a John, was it a John...
Denver story. That's the song that's going on in the van,
Yeah. And then, I thought they were just going to head off into the sunset together. And then she shoots them both. Yeah. That's pretty crazy, yeah.
That was the most surprising twist, I think, really, that the fact that those two get shot at the end. And it was not really any surprise that, the cops turn up and Justine is screwed right at the end in that final shot. This screenplay is really quite... I mean, the story is very simple. It's really funny. There's a few very simple twists with, the three gunmen and Justine shooting the others and then the phone... But nothing like seismic, I wouldn't say.
No, nothing seismic, yeah. I would just say it's little twists that are paced out nice. They're paced out well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel boring.
So I'll go like an 8, solid 8, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good shout, yeah.
Because it's hilarious.
Yeah, it was it's a fun movie. I do enjoy myself.
It's really fun,
yeah. And I like how it doesn't really waste much time. It gets into it, and... And it's pretty good. It's not like an hour build-up for what you've come to see. And yet, even though the concept is really simple, and it could be boring, I think if it was a lesser screenwriter, it would be quite dull. But it's exciting and it's really funny.
So what's your score?
Yeah, I'd give it like an 8 point... I'd give it 8.2 or something.
Acting, then... I mean, there's some great acting, certainly some great comical acting, from Shelton Copley especially. He's just this... in this ridiculous suit. He's brilliant. But I really like a moment from Brie Larson, who plays Justine.
Can I say, actually, what was it? I like a line that she said I thought was funny when she got, like, shot by Harry. And she's like, I can't believe I gave a fuck about your cousin. It's like, yeah. Yeah, that was funny.
But when the deal starts to go sour and they find out Steve-O bottled, the girl, Vern says to Justine, I'd never lay my hands on a woman. And Justine says, I know you never have. And then Vernon, looks away and Brie Larson, just this great eye roll. And then when he looks back, just this great cheesy smile.
Yeah, yeah.
Just great comic timing from Brie Larson.
Yeah, that was funny. I like that. That was good.
Vernon is just such a fool.
Yeah. I like when he's trying to shoot and he keeps missing. And Order's like, both hands, Vern. It's like... Like, he doesn't even have to see. He knows he's fucking doing it wrong.
But yeah, going back to the bit where Martin wakes up, played by Babu Cisse, he suddenly wakes up with half his brain showing.
Yeah.
And he says, where the fuck am I? And Ord says, like, hey, party Marty. And then he starts shooting at him. And he's just like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And he just fucking walks. He just doesn't give a fuck and just walks all over the place. Yeah. Grabs the rifle from Howard, who is his man, the mysterious shooter, and then walks straight across the warehouse shooting at Ord. And then he looks at Chris while he reloads, and he just looks at him and just says, what the fuck are you looking at?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
Who he is at all.
I like how he even puts his gun up, like, I'm not going to, this got nothing to do with me. Yeah.
And then at the end of this little cameo from him, he gets the money and stares at the light and says, oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then just collapses on his back.
Yeah.
It's just such a random moment.
Yeah. Can we all stop shooting so I can check if this motherfucker is really dead? Yeah.
From Harry.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, he was funny. I like the actor that did him as well. I thought...
Jack Rayner.
Yeah, he had quite a lot of energy in him.
Any other acting moments you liked?
So yeah, I just like the cold-hearted, like jokey nature of Ord. I think Ord is great. He's just like, he's quite funny. And yeah, and most of his bits are great,
Probably my favourite character is Vern, like just this ridiculous, chump.
Yeah, he's so over the top,
I love the South African accent.
Yeah.
So
do you remember, was it Steve-O or Bernie or something said, where the fuck is he from? He was like, I think Sweden or something.
That was funny.
Yeah,
but he's my favourite character, but my favourite performance is probably Sam Riley. He's just brilliant when he confesses about, bottling the girl.
Yeah.
It's so brutal and he's so intense in that moment.
Yeah.
And a lot of moments he's so intense. Yeah, Sam Riley for me. How about you, sir?
Yeah. No, I like basically all the cast. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah.
All of their characters are quite entertaining. There are no sticks in the mud or, assholes or whatever. And yeah,
well, they're all assholes.
Well, they're all assholes, but you know what I mean. Like they're entertaining assholes. They know they're assholes. I would still go. My favorite character is Ord. I don't know. I just quite like him. So. But yeah, they're all really quite funny. So I would say that's like my favorite character and probably my favorite performance. But they all do a bang up job.
Mm. Yeah. So my acting score, I think, will go fairly high because I think comedy is I always find it is quite hard to do, and
it's all about the timing, man. So you can have something funny on the script. If the actors can't bring it, then it's it's bollocks.
Yeah. So I would go like 8.1. How about you, sir?
I'll give it an 8.4.
Right. Let's add up the scores then for Free Fire. Free Fire gets 48.1.
Nice.
Which is pretty good.
Now we're cooking.
So my film then is...
Crazy as shit.
My film is A Field in England from 2013, written with his wife, Amy Jump. Well, just solely by his wife, I think, because I think he did a script and then his wife did a rewrite and basically changed everything. And he was like, yeah, let's do that. Mine was shit compared to this. Yeah, I found it really difficult to choose. I think this is probably one of the hardest decisions I've had to make on this podcast because I love Kill List. I love this one. I wanted to go with an original that he's done, not one of his adaptations, because he's adapted High Rise, the J.B. Ballard postmodernist book, which is good. Certainly not one of his best, I don't think. And he's done Rebecca as well for Netflix recently. But everything else, because Free Fire was his first original script with a fairly decent budget with top actors. And I was tempted to go with Sightseers because I hadn't seen it before, and I know it's really good, but it's a comedy as well. With Free Fire was a comedy, so I kind of wanted to go with something different. So basically, it was either Kill List Incredible or A Field in England. And I know when I watched A Field in England, it was I found it so weirdly brilliant and just incredible, I thought. And Kill List was incredible as well, but just for completely different reasons. It's so uncomfortable and so tense and so horrifying. I was just it's one of those films where it doesn't have a lot of great rewatch value. Kill List, you watch it once, you're like, fuck, I'll watch that again in 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and I'm probably still not ready to watch that film again because it's so intense.
I need to watch that now. Yeah, I think you're bigging it up pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I eventually went with A Field in England. I mean, on another day, I might have gone with Kill List or even something else, but just for this weekend, I went with A Field in England.
I think this is the film I would rewatch only with another person and a different person each time, so I could gauge their reaction. Because this is weird. This is a very strange film.
And also, I kind of wanted to know what your reaction would be to this film.
Yeah, man, we should have watched this together. Because this was strange. I just kept stopping it or rewinding it and going, "What the hell?" But yeah, very very strange film.
Yeah. Right, so what happens in A Field in England? Well, this film is set in the 17th century. England is at civil war. It's the Civil War. And these group of soldiers and an alchemist flee from this battle, from this overgrown field. And then they come across this very mysterious character that kind of seems to come out of the field itself, called O'Neill. And O'Neill basically captures them and forces them to find buried treasure in this field by very strange methods with a lot of screaming and rope and
visuals.
So that's basically what the film is about, really. It's just this group of soldiers trying to find some treasure. So Baz, what did you make of this film, then?
Yeah, this was weird. No, it was great. I do like how the beginning, that made me kind of chuckle because I didn't know what I was going to be in for. That they're in the middle of a battle and they've escaped. And I just found it funny how the battle, so you'd imagine, it's huge carnage, is behind a hedge. So it's just a way to work within your budget. You're that big
just
thing.
Sound effects.
Yeah, they got the sound effects and stuff. Yeah, no, it was quite interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of really trippy things that go on here.
So should we go straight into directing then? There's an interesting sequence near the start where a shell goes off close to Whitehead, played by Reece Shearsmith. And there's a great push-in that starts all out of focus until he goes straight into his eyeball, and then a short sequence of extreme close-up shots, and then all the sound cuts out, and all you hear is this drone, which is just quite unnerving, and it starts to build the atmospherics of this film, and obviously it's all black and white.
This happens a lot, actually. It seems like the division between chapters, where they'll all stand in a pose, and it's not like a photograph where the actors are just standing in a pose.
Yeah, in living
that?
tableaus.
That happens a lot.
There's one I quite like when they arrive at O'Neill's camp and Friend and Jacob are kneeling down holding shovels and their heads are against them, and then all of a sudden Jacob turns to look directly into the camera, and it feels not creepy, but again just this weird unnerving feeling. I'm like, why are you looking at me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then at that point, the atmosphere in the story just goes up a notch. And then I completely forgot about the penis shot. I was like, oh shit. Oh.
Yeah, that really that threw me. That really did throw me, yeah. They're all posed, and then it's yep, he's holding his cock. Oh my god! I don't think I've seen a penis in a movie for quite some time. Actually, you tend to see boobs, but never full frontal male genitalia. So
in a close-up as well. I was like, whoa!
In a close-up. It was really, because he's trying to because he feels weak and he's hurt and it's like he examines his penis. But it's horrible because it's like a close-up and there's like boils and all. Oh man, it's a manky penis as well. It's really, really horrible.
And was it one of the other characters, Cutler, gets his cock out while he shoots?
He gets his cock out, yeah.
While he shoots Friend in the chest. I was like...
Yeah, he doesn't shoot him with his cock, though. But, yeah, that was crazy, because he starts pissing on him, and he's got I thought it was 2 pistols to start with. I thought he had 2 pistols. I was like, why is that pistol got, like... Why is it squirting water? What the hell's going on? It's got a water pistol? I went back, I was like, oh, no, it's his cock.
Oh, God. That's funny. I thought it was 2 pistols. Yeah. Christ. But yeah, I quite like those tableaus because you never really see anything like that in a film before, and it just again in the script it just puts into question, certainly in those sequences, is this all real or is it just in someone's head? I always got that sense in the story, like what is, because obviously Friend comes back to life after he gets shot.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
So
yeah, and what's crazy is he's not wearing what he was when he got shot. He's wearing the exact same costume he was when they first met him. Do you know what I mean? Like, he had to take off his shirt and all that when he dug, That was bizarre. There is a lot of kind of weird...
decisions.
Weird, unexplainable stuff. Yeah, decisions. You're like, what? But I did like the tableaus, or whatever you said there, because it just reminded me of, the kind of paintings of the era.
Right,
Do you know what I mean? When they did all these... Yeah, these big landscapes with everybody posing in some sort of... some sort of action. And I thought that was interesting.
One of the first trippy scenes is when they're all trying to pull this stump out the ground. They're all trying to pull this rope, and it's never really explained really. And then you get all these camera tracks and really quick cuts, and it goes faster and faster, and it's as if they're being pulled into the ground.
Oh, yeah. You see the rope is even wrapping around on whatever...
this thing is.
Yeah, whatever this thing is, yeah. That was very strange.
And then it just, it gets faster and faster, and all you get is just this blurry image that just creates a new one kind of thing. And then cut to them all falling to the ground, I thought that was interesting. Just, again, you get this sense of... you're not sure just what's real, and then obviously Michael Smiley's character O'Neill is just entangled in the rope, and it's like he's been pulled up from the ground or just appears out of nowhere. It's very strange.
I thought he was dead. He looked like a corpse or whatever, and then he just boom, he's up. I love the reaction of Jacob when O'Neill gets up and he starts kicking the crap out of him. And I love how Jacob just grabs him and he's like, sorry, sir, and just punches him, just knocks him out. Yeah, he was a great character.
I love the cinematography in this film, like how soft the contrast is in this black and white. Some of the shots with the characters, it seems like they're blending into the background, which feels very purposeful to me. A lot of greys, not very sharp blacks and whites, a lot of different blends of grey, which I quite liked, actually, very soft. And some of the close-ups and macro shots, Ben Wheatley drilled holes into the dust caps of the camera and glued these kid lenses on to create some of the the lens flare for the macro shots, which is really interesting. And apparently he used a lot of really cheap £12 lenses on these really expensive cameras. So, to create, the look of the film, so he was certainly going a little experimental in this film, certainly just with the look of it, not just how it's cut and what's going on in the story, which I found really interesting.
Yeah. I would say, one of the most insane sequences is towards the end.
Yeah.
Because basically, a lot of crazy things have happened up to this point, but Whitehead has kind of refused to eat mushrooms, at the beginning, before they knew all this craziness, Cutler makes them a meal.
Yeah.
And he spiked it with mushrooms, and he doesn't partake of this food. Towards the end, he's being chased by O'Neill.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a mad decision, where he just, starts gobbling all the mushrooms. He's this is what you want to turn me into, you know? And I was like, that's probably not the best idea if you want to have a gunfight with somebody, to eat a load of mushrooms. And I like how O'Neill is like also eating some mushrooms. Yeah. Like, that was mental. But I love that whole
What,
sequence.
with the wind
Holy
or
crap.
the fast cutting?
Yeah, I like the wind, but also the transition into that whole stuff, that was mad. Because it was like all these screen flashes of just, you know, symmetrical stuff of them in mirrors, slow motion stuff, them looking into camera. Oh, man, it was just so weird. And like, what do you call that? It was just like the cuts were so fast. You know, it was almost like you were going to have a seizure. Like, they were...
I know. It's basically, I think it's quite easy to do, to be fair. You have like two sequences of film stacked on top of each other, and then you basically just cut up the one on the top every other frame, you know, and then you play it, and then you just have basically both pieces of footage playing against each other, so it's kind of flashing kind of thing.
Yeah.
In that scene, Whitehead is like hiding from O'Neill in the long grass, and, you know, as you said, he's stuffing himself with magic mushrooms, and he slowly gets up, and it's really windy, and what proceeds, as we're alluding to, brings new meaning to the word montage. Where loads of images are basically spliced together at literally rapid speed to create, you know, whole new images at times. You know, flash forwards and flashbacks are in there. And I actually loved the last one, which is my favorite shot, where you have like this split screen where Whitehead is moving backwards attached to the rope, and is kind of like going in on himself, disappearing into the middle, like a mirror effect. And it's really weird, like with this, because it ends with his head just being like crushed.
It also makes this strange, it makes that crush noise.
Both of his bodies are being crushed together. It's very strange. And then this like comical pop noise at the end.
Yeah.
It's so trippy.
It was really trippy. I think most of the budget went to the wind machine. Like, holy shit. It's like...
Yeah.
And I thought it was strange as well, because all the dialogue from that point on, so it's all ADR, and they're moving it with the lips, but how they say it, you know it's overdubbed. Do you know what I mean? They're saying it like quietly and like, yes.
So all you hear is just like this drone music and their voices. You can't hear the wind at all that much. I think you can a little bit, but not much at all. And it's like their inner devils have taken over them in that moment. And O'Neill ends up shooting Cutler in the mouth, and he says, "Open up and let the devil in."
Yeah, he's got his mouth way on the stock of that gun, you know.
But it's interesting the way they did that. They basically acted that scene out really slowly, and they said the lines like really slowly, you know, and then in post they sped it all up. So the actors were moving at a normal speed and like talking at a normal speed, but the field and their clothes are going like crazy, you know. So, and then obviously they overdubbed the dialogue at normal speed, so their movements are at normal speed, but everything around them is fast forwarded, so it looks like it's going absolutely nuts.
Okay, that's clever. That's clever. Oh, I didn't know that. That's pretty intelligent.
So they're all talking like that on the field. You know.
Yeah, that was really strange.
Yeah, I just love the sense that just for a moment they're all just possessed. Yeah, and there's some quite gory moments in this which made me gasp out loud.
The thing that made me gasp the most is where O'Neill loses his leg.
Yeah, that was like, whoa! I audibly gasped. I was like, shit.
Like, Whitehead. Was it Whitehead that shot him? I can't remember who shot him.
Whitehead blows his face off pretty much.
Yeah, I think it was the other guy. I think maybe Jacob got him in the leg.
Yeah.
And how he just like tips over and you see his leg, and it is just, you know, it's not a clean cut either. It's like part gnawed off by the bullet, and he just collapses. Yeah, that was horrible.
That was pretty disgusting. So have you got a favourite shot then?
Maybe when everything just goes crazy and that whole sequence is just pretty nuts.
The wind sequence or the crazy montage?
I don't. Yeah, maybe the wind actually. Cool. Yeah, and also Jacob's penis. That's a close second.
Yeah, so score, Boaz, what are you going for directing?
I'm going to give this a 7.8.
Okay. I do think this is slightly better directed than Free Fire. Not by a long way, and I know he's got a very, very small budget for this. I think they literally shot this in 10 days or something crazy. It's very, very quick. Yeah. But I just love how he just goes for it and how experimental this film is. You know, that montage sequence, my God, is just fantastic for me. Just brilliant.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that in a film before. And that, as you said, the wind sequence where they speed everything up, that's just tremendous. And visually, just with the experiments with what you know, using the cheap lenses and the look of it, there's some great close-up shots of just and lens flaring of these insects as well at times, which I quite liked.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, close-ups of all these like little insects and stuff. Do you remember that scene where he sees in the sky or something in the distance like this giant black sun? That was weird. It was like, and then he's walking towards it, and then he's just in front of the tent like that. That was just so bizarre.
Just great uses of how to use the camera, so I really respect that. So I'm going to go with, and I kind of wish more bigger budget films would maybe do some just different things with the camera rather than just normal coverage all the time. I'm going to go like 8.2, I think. So screenplay then. You know, this film is pretty funny at times. I love the bit where Richard Glover, who plays Friend, he's just called Friend apparently, and Whitehead are lying down in the field and like waiting for the others to come back. And Richard Glover says, "Yeah, you're a wise sort, you, ain't you? I could tell by your hands, all clean and soft and that. Yeah. You think about things before you touch it, am I right?" And then Whitehead says, "Is that not usual? Not in Essex." That tickled me a bit. That was funny.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. I think that was through most of the film. That was my favorite line. But there is a line that I think is just so much better than that, which is also said from the same character. Right. I think you know the one I mean.
Probably. Right? There's quite a few from Friend, Richard Glover.
Yeah. That's another line I really liked, where Friend says, "I always knew the devil would be Irish. I thought he would be taller, though."
Yeah, that's my favourite line, actually. It does not surprise me that the devil is an Irishman, but perhaps a little taller.
I loved his line about his wife. I loved that. I thought that was great. He was dying. He's been shot by Cutler. So he goes, "When you get to the ale house, see a way to get a message to my wife." And Jacob's like, "Anything, Friend, anything." He goes, Tell her I hate her. Tell her I did burn down her father's barn. That was payment for forcing our marriage. Tell her I loved her sister, who I had, many times, from behind, like a beautiful prize sow." And I just I love that whole line. Yeah. It's just like, you think, oh, tell my wife I loved her. It's like, tell my wife I hate her. I had sex with her sister. You know?
Yeah, that was great joke there. Yeah, I mean, Amy Jump and what's his name, Ben Wheatley. That's the episode we're doing. You know, they got some really great humour in their films. It's really certainly a very British sounding humour. It's really quite enjoyable. You know, there's a bit where Whitehead tastes the soup and asks Friend, "Mutton?" And then Friend looks around like, "Where?" You know, just a very stupid character, but anyway, at times.
Yeah. Or do you remember the time where Jacob's trying to have a shit and he's constipated, and he's just making all these bloody hell. And Friend goes over there and he's like, "Are you giving birth? Is it a boy or a girl?"
But before that, he says, "Sounds like hard work."
Yeah.
And there's another great moment. You know, Whitehead is screaming his head off in the tent, and Friend is like praying or something. And Jacob says, "What this party lacks is the civilizing influence of women."
Yeah, I thought they were really funny.
But just going back to like Michael Smiley's character of O'Neill, you know, when the four guys apparently pull him out of the field somehow, you know, what did you make of that? Who is this character to you, Boaz?
Well, it's quite strange. So Whitehead does like explain that this guy was his mission. Yeah. He was meant to find him. So according to that, he's one of the king's men who the king wants to punish because instead of doing his duty, he's been raping and pillaging and being an asshole. And it kind of turns out he's a wizard of some kind. He has like some fucking occult magic or whatever, and he's looking for some gold in a field. It's just so weird, you know. It's like, what? Yeah, he is a strange character, and he pulls the plot along. Yeah. And I do suppose you could make the argument: is this a real human being? Is he like the devil or something like that? Or are they all just tripping balls? Like it's very hard to like get your head around.
Yeah, and also like Ben Wheatley was saying, I watched a few interviews of him, and he was kind of saying that during this time, like new discoveries of science and like drug use and mushrooms and things were kind of misconstrued as like magic, you know, all these new scientific discoveries of, you know, with medicines and drugs were just misconstrued of like the devil's work and things, you know, which I guess is where O'Neill's character is coming from there a little bit, you know.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if he's just wholly relying on drugs or if he is in fact a magician, you know, if he is in fact a wizard. Yeah, because I don't know, he does quite a lot of weird things.
But then it's just like, where the hell did he come from? Where did he come from?
Yeah, no, where did he come from?
And obviously, you know, Friend comes back to life. It just must be the devil's work.
Yeah. Oh, and what was it when he takes Wheatley into his tent? Yeah. And he's like screaming, and they're all just freaking out. And Cutler like knocks out Jacob or something like that. And yeah, it's such an intense scene. And then it's like Whitehead comes out, and he's roped up, and he's just grinning like a freaking maniac. And he just runs off yeah, he's like a zombie. It's just like after the gold wherever it's buried. So I don't know. It does raise some questions. Maybe he is doing it all he's a regular guy doing it with drugs. Maybe he took a drug that made him look dead, and maybe he's drugging them with different things to make them do stuff.
Well, I just like how the script just leaves everything open and so ambiguous.
It does leave it open. He could, in fact, be a wizard.
Yeah. Well, just even the fact that there's no like date at the start. There's no contextualizing of where we are in this story. It's all just up to us to figure these things out, you know. You only just discover where we are in the time period just via their costumes alone, you know, and how they speak, which I find quite interesting.
Yeah. So what do you think this could be like a reenactment, a bunch of
cosplay?
Guys doing a Civil War reenactment. And these guys just get high off their fucking tits, and, you know.
Cosplay gone very, very wrong.
Yeah, very bad. Yeah. I did really like. I thought the end was pretty cool, where basically everybody's died, except Whitehead, because the whole thing is he's a coward. Then he blows like O'Neill's face clean off, and he's like, "There is the coward." Yeah. You know? And then he dresses like him. He dresses like O'Neill. It's so weird.
Yeah, I quite like that. Again,
I like that.
Kind of like at the end of I Am Mother. It's like you're looking at a different character, just completely transformed just through costume.
He's evolved. Yeah. And then how like uncowardly he is, because he buries his friends. He goes out there. He's got all of these weapons that he's accrued from this journey. But I like before he enters the hedge, drops every weapon, like gun, sword, gun.
It's like, I don't need it. I am the devil now.
So I don't need it. Fuck it. And just goes through the hedge. And that was
so have you got a favourite line then?
Tell my wife I hate her. Yeah. And I had her sister repeatedly from behind. Yeah, that was funny.
So score, Bowers, for screenplay?
Now I'm thinking maybe I should have put the directing higher. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable for where I left it. Yeah, maybe I'll put the directing like 8.2. No, 8.3, and then I'll put this about like an 8.
I like the screenplay a lot. It's surprisingly funny. You don't expect this film to be funny, I don't think. And obviously a lot of things are left fairly ambiguous, and it's left for the audience to work it out, which I really admire, and I wish more films did that. You know, this is very much this Chris Nolan type of thing, what he does with his big blockbuster films. Like he expects the audience to be as intelligent as he is, and it's kind of, you get that a little bit with this film, just with a smaller budget, but you have the ambiguous element here as well. and it's funny. So I don't know, like, and bold. So I'll go like 8 I'll go 8.2 again. The acting. I love the little reaction from Reece Shearsmith when Jacob says he can't feel his balls because, you know, nettles stung them when he was trying to take a shit, and says,
Yeah.
maybe I mislaid him when I was pulling the rope. And then Shearsmith's just like, what the fuck are you on about? He's just so confused and just walks off.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
Or where, like, Friend is, like, licking at the stump. And, you know,
Yeah, that was
it's just like...
very odd. Again, like,
It's
in
like,
that
what?
scene, it just starts to be like, yeah, this is not a straight, like, period drama at all. Something very strange is going on in this film. But you've touched on it a little bit, but possibly my favourite scene, actually, certainly from an acting perspective, is when Reece Shearsmith has been screaming in pain, which feels like forever, to the point where his screams, like, get in your head. And then the music comes on with this very, like, slow, rejoiceful music almost. And then Reece Shearsmith comes out of the tent, and the way the light touches his face, as you said, is so creepy. It's unbelievable. It's just like, oh my God, what the hell? What's happened?
Yeah.
You know, and he's trudging out of the tent attached to the rope, all done in slow motion. And I swear at one point he looked at me, but I wasn't sure.
And he whispered, Martin.
Fucking scary as shit. And as he gets closer to the camera, I'm just like, please don't look at me. Please don't look at the camera. Because obviously, up until this point, there has been a few fourth wall breaks. You know, it just kind of makes that scene even more creepy because, you know, we've had a few fourth wall breaks up until that point. It's just incredible sequence of the fact that it's in slow motion, the lighting, Reece Shearsmith's massive grin, just, it's very creepy.
It was really creepy.
And then moments later, there's a low-angle close-up of Whitehead, like, stuffing himself with mushrooms with a wide lens to make his head look massive. He just looks so crazed and mad. You know, Reece Shearsmith is brilliant.
And I like... it's like, that's enough mushrooms, man, because he is really... He's like what do you call it? Like a chipmunk, just like gathering them in his cheeks. So much. O'Neill was pretty cool. I quite liked his character. Very, very threatening. Do you remember when Jacob said to him, like, he passed the shovel and he's like, "Listen, friend, I'm finished with this. I'm going to the pub or whatever. You know, I to the ale house." And he just grabs the shovel and like knocks him out. Knocks him down. He's like, "Don't ever call me friend, or I'll turn you into a frog." You know, and he just spits at him. And I like, you're like, holy shit, you know, this guy is quite serious. He does that really threatening.
Because he's so, Michael Smiley is just so different from all the others. It's just, it does feel like he's just not from this world, you know, just very cold and kind of has the same expression on his face throughout most of the film until maybe the end. Yeah, he's just very different from everyone else. Just really well done.
Yeah, especially in, like, as you say, demeanor, how he looks, how he behaves, and dress as well. He is so over-the-toply dressed. Like, they're all, lowly soldiers or servants and stuff, and he's got this. I like how one of them comments on this. I think Jacob's like, is he trying to be the king or something? Is he,
And there's even this, when he puts his cloak on, that's all done in, like, slow motion, which I found really interesting, and it just gives you this first sense that this guy is not... There's just something more about this character, you know? It just feels weird.
Yeah.
So, favourite performance, Boaz?
So there's quite... I like most of the guys there. I think Friend was the funniest. I think my favourite performance, though, and O'Neill is, like, quite threatening, but I think probably my favourite performance is Whitehead, is the guy who plays
Reece
Whitehead.
Shearsmith.
Yeah, I think that's just, like, the best performance. You know, the other ones have, like, good things about their character, but the actor who plays Whitehead, I think, did a really good job.
Yeah, same here, Reece Shearsmith. Just for that scene where he comes out of the tent, that just freaked me out big time. I was just like, what the hell? Yeah. So, score, Boaz, what are you going for acting?
I'm going to go 7.9.
I think that's fair. I think certainly Whitehead, Reece Shearsmith is the standout. I'm not sure everyone else. Like, Michael Smiley's great, but I'm not sure it's anything special. I think it's just the whole tone and the narrative of the film that creates a lot of his mysterious persona as well.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, like, I agree with you. And when we've been talking about the lines and stuff, like, the characters are quite entertaining. But if you're trying to think of, like, a performance that really stands out, there is just really one. Because that's not just his character, that's how the guy is acting it out, how he's actually portraying it. And you're like, oh, this is quite intense.
So I'll go like a solid 8, I think. Just purely for Reece Shearsmith's performance is just quite remarkable. And everyone else is fine. Right, let's add up the scores then for A Field in England. A Field in England gets 48.6. So A Field in England wins by half a point. Yeah.
Really? Christ, that's close.
Whereas Free Fire got 48.1. So A Field in England wins by 0.05 points.
That's crazy. Would it have been dead even if I hadn't changed my
Possibly
score on directing, I think? Yeah, I think it would have been dead even.
That was a good one. Next week, as Freaky comes out in UK cinemas, we'll be having a look at slasher films. So there's obviously an abundance of slasher films to wade our eyes through, so it'll be interesting to see what we go with. Yeah, Freaky sounds really awesome, actually. Yeah, it's basically like a body swap film where the killer swaps with the teenage girl. Body swaps with the teenage girl, so that sounds really cool.
Yeah, I saw a trailer of that. Yeah, that looked pretty fun.
Right. That's it for this week then. Thank you, Boaz. You've been rather good, as always. Bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off.